In the May 2026 For the Strength of Youth magazine, Sister Emily Bell Freeman writes, "Maybe you wonder if you are seen by God, remembered, known. I remember feeling like this many years ago at a camp for young girls. I sat in my chair and listened as a wise woman reminded each of us that we were God's daughters. She pulled out her scriptures and began to read a set of verses I had never studied before. But now, thus saith the Lord that created thee, fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name, thou art mine. Since thou wast precious in my sight, I have loved thee. Fear not, for I am with thee." Isaiah 43, 1, 4, and 5. As she read those words out loud to us, I was filled with a sense of great peace. The Lord knew my name. I was his, and I was loved. End quote. I think every young woman has this unspoken need for belonging, and if Sister Emily Bell Freeman needed that peace, and if Emily Susan Pack needed that peace, maybe you do too. Emily Susan Pack is a singer-songwriter, a comedian, and a content creator known for her comedic takes on Latter-day Saint culture. Some of my favorite songs of Emily's that you should look up include Nativity Chicken and Benson Boone. She and her husband, Kendall, are the parents of 3 children. This is All In, an LDS Living podcast where we ask the question, what does it really mean to be all in the gospel of Jesus Christ? I'm Morgan Pearson, and I am so honored to have Emily Susan Pack on the line with me today. Emily, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm the one who's honored. Thanks for having me.
Oh, please. There's no reason to be honored, but I seriously have been so excited about this. Emily, I've followed Emily on Instagram for a bit now, and we've exchanged some messages, mostly because she knows my brother, which is so fun.
Spence, yeah.
Yeah, shout out Spencer. It was so fun recently when he sent a video clip from that Good Friday show, and there you were in the background playing the keys. I was like, hey-o.
Spencer's great, and everyone should go stream his music for sure.
See, I can't say that, but you can say it. So that's great.
Go find Spencer Jones on Spotify as the voice of an angel.
He told me, like, when I think it was the President Holland video that you did where you added the accompaniment. That was like the first video that I saw. Spencer messaged me because I think I shared it on my Instagram story, and Spencer messaged me and was like, "That's my friend." And he was like, and she is one of the most talented songwriters I've ever met. So,
oh my gosh,
there you have it.
Sweet of him. That's so nice.
Well, I want to start out. I feel like you have such a good sense of humor. And I think that the ability to see the humor that's in like every day and all around us, and the humor that's not at the expense of somebody else, is like the best form of humor. And so I wondered, how would you say that that form of humor, that gift, has been fostered in your life? Like, did that come naturally to you?
I'm one of those people that doesn't like when people are being mean around me, or I don't like when people are fighting. And I've always been that, hey, everybody stop fighting, laugh at this instead person.
Change the subject.
Let's change the subject. Or, hey, actually this thing we're all fighting about is pretty funny. And like, I noticed at a young age how powerful that would be, and like how much of a fire extinguisher humor could be. And also a way I could use humor to describe a complicated feeling. And so I'm just kind of like that. I have that like clown blood in me of just wanting to make fun of things. But I don't like making fun of people. I don't really like making people feel awkward. I don't like even really sarcasm that much. And those are like the pillars of comedy, like make people feel weird and make fun of people and complain. And that's just like not how I like to be. So I found out through improv comedy. I did a lot of improv comedy back in the day.
Okay.
And there's always like the panic of improv, of being on stage. And there's like, sometimes 5 people in the audience. And there's panic of, oh no, people aren't laughing. And then sometimes you would just try to shock people into laughter. You would try to say something crazy or do something weird, and you would get them to laugh, but it wouldn't last very long. And people didn't really enjoy the show. And I learned that if instead of being worried about people are laughing or not, if I just focused on creating a good story or being truthful or drawing from my real life experiences or just developing characters, then people would be laughing, and it would build slowly, and then people would become fans. Like, people would want to hang out because they would feel good after the show. So even though you could shock people into laughter, people wouldn't come to your show the next week because they would feel like garbage. But if instead you took the time to just create a good environment for people and help people feel seen through comedy, then people would come back the next week. And that's what I've tried to do on Instagram too.
Well, it's so interesting. I'm not a comedian, far from it, but like thinking about the way that works, because I'm thinking of like people that I find very funny. And that is the feeling that they cultivate is like, oh, I could just sit here I don't feel uncomfortable at all. I also love what you said about it, like gave you an ability to describe like complex feelings. And I would guess that that's the reason that you're a good songwriter too.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Thank you so much. But it's like, I wish I could just speak directly the way other people do, but I kind of need like the extra power, nuance or whatever, the extra tools of songwriting to kind of get through what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, which I think is true of a lot of people that are really good with songwriting, is like they put into words in a song what a lot of us are feeling and can't say. Okay, the video that I was mentioning earlier that Spencer messaged me about was you posted where you added accompaniment to President Holland's Amazing Grace, which I think was like a moment that all of us will remember forever from General Conference, especially because it ended up being his last General Conference talk. Mm-hmm. But I learned in preparing for this interview that you only took 1 year of piano lessons. Is that right?
Shout out to Sister Beardall in my ward growing up one summer.
I mean, the fact that you only took 1 year of piano lessons and I took so many years of piano lessons and have absolutely nothing to show for it is just very depressing.
No, I mean, I was like the youngest kid and my parents were like, you could just figure it out. And so I took the summer lessons with Sister Beardall, and she was awesome because she had the old Nintendo. So my sister would have her turn with lessons and I would play Duck Hunt. Is that
I remember
right?
that game. Yeah.
I would play that in like in her bedroom. She would like have the video game set up for one of us and then we'd switch. And I was just not really good at practicing. And I was really bad at like the discipline of music at that point. So my parents didn't put me in it again because they were like, you don't really appreciate it. But I did need to learn piano, especially when I got in Young Women's. So I just had the green hymn book and I would just play through that and just play through until it sounded right. So that was the biggest thing that pushed me to learn music, was opening exercises of Young Women's and just trying to learn the hymns.
Well, I want to start out and talk about your most recent viral reel because I thought it was so good, partially because I feel like the church announced these new young women class names and everybody immediately started making fun of them. And you posted and you were like, I have a song coming out. And you were like, it's not funny, which would have been the thing that people would have expected because you write funny songs. And instead you wrote this really beautiful song. So I wondered, was that a deliberate decision to not be funny when people maybe would have expected you to be? And how did kind of that song come about for you?
I really only believe in writing about what you really feel. And like truth and comedy is the only thing I think ever works. And the truth is, I was just so relieved and grateful and joyous to hear about the new names. I remember when they took away Beehive, Laurel, My Maid, and I was a little sad, but it was also at the time with all these changes. It moved to 2 Hour Church and Scouts was taken away, and Scouts was kind of like a financial burden on my ward. So it was like kind of like a relief of all these different things. And it was sad to see the names go, but there were all these changes, and I felt like, oh, and they're getting rid of the scouts, and there's going to be this big thing coming in. And so I wasn't too sad about them getting rid of the names because I thought there was this big thing coming. But that was like, that's 7 years ago. And the names never came. And I served in Young Women's, and I felt this gap of like the identity that the girls would have. And they came up with their own little fun names, but we also didn't like sing opening hymns together. There wasn't like, there's not the personal progress, all these things that were really important to me when I was a youth that really helped me feel like I belonged, because I'm one of those kids that just didn't really feel like I belonged anywhere. But those things made me feel like I belonged. And then I saw that those were taken away. And so when I opened up my phone in the morning, it was like such relief and joy. Like I was like laughing with joy to just see that there was names announced. And so I was just reading, I'm like, yes, 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 like just excited, fully expecting everyone else
to feel the same way.
Excited. Because I thought everyone felt the same kind of stuff with the youth that I was feeling and seeing when we were doing a half hour for Sunday school, because we're going to have the Young Women's meet every week. That change also, mm-hmm. Or what's the way to describe that? But I felt the same way knowing that young women are going to meet every week. Like, right. Oh, thank goodness, because they need to see each other every week. At least what I've seen in Young Women's in 3 different wards now. I've been in 3 different wards since they made those changes.
Okay.
And I've seen those young women struggling in those same ways in those different wards. So much to my relief, like answers to my prayers, that they're going to meet every week, and they have these names, and I'm so excited, and I am expecting everyone to be excited, but then I go online and everyone is not excited, and I totally think it's okay to be critical of things. Like, I'm critical of things. I'm not like a, shut up and like it person. I'm right. Definitely not that way.
Right.
But just me personally, I was psyched. Me personally, I was relieved. I like them. I totally get the vision of them when I think about each like role, and when I was just reading the descriptions too. So outside of the names, I wonder how many people like clicked through and read the statement behind the names and like describing these different age groups. And I was just so struck by how beautiful they were. And like my brain was just kind of going on all these different things that these girls could be assigned to do under their names. And I loved it. And at the same time, everybody is sending them to me. Everybody's sending me like DMing, like, can't wait to see what you write about this. Oh, it's like, take them down. These are basically writing themselves. And I'm like, no, I like them. And so I wrote this song, and I wrote it pretty quickly, like probably in a couple hours, because I just love them. I feel like it just wrote itself.
Yeah.
And in reading the statement from the church too, I was just like, yeah, I get this. I was really just trying to use like almost word for word the description from the statement, just like retooled it a little bit so it would like flow and rhyme. But I was just like, I don't know, I was just loving it. And I was so surprised. Like, I didn't find a single person that day in writing it that also liked the names. I was like, am I on an island? Like, even cool, like even people that are really like usually pretty positive in my life,
right,
also hated them. Like, what's going on? I just don't get it. And like, I don't know, I try to be a pretty like optimistic person, but I don't know. I don't think I'm better than anyone. Like, I complain all the time. So I wrote this song and I put it out there, and I was really tired that night because I had just like, I got done working like my second job, and I got home and I was just going to go to bed. But I told my husband, like, I really feel like I need to just go record that song right now, and I just really want to put it out tomorrow morning. And I'm like so tired. And he's like, are you sure? Because it was kind of this like busy week where it was like, don't worry, tonight you'll get sleep. And then on the night I was supposed to get sleep, I was like, I really got to go record this song.
Right.
So I did. I like recorded it on my little laptop with my broken laptop and my crappy microphone on GarageBand. Then I like finished recording it, And then the sun wasn't quite up yet. So I was like, okay, I'll get a couple hours of sleep and then I'll record the video when the sun rises. And then I went out and then the video is like, oh my gosh, I look like I don't have any sleep. Like my hair is crazy and like my makeup is insane. But I was like, I'm just going to put it out. And I really didn't think, I mean, no one ever thinks that things are going to go that far, but definitely that song, I didn't think anyone was going to like it. I thought everyone was just going to say, stupid song, we hate the names. I thought you were going to write something funny. And I thought it was going to tank because I have songs that tank. So I figured that one was going to tank, but I just really wanted to put it out. But it didn't tank. It took off.
Well, I appreciated that you did it. And I'll tell you why. I haven't been in Young Women since I was in Young Women. So I'm like, I don't have a great perspective on it. And I was surprised by the number of friends that messaged me like, please tell me what you think about this, you know? And but a couple of years ago, so Sister Emily Bell Freeman, her son and daughter-in-law were in our ward in Philadelphia. And I knew Sister Freeman before. And so we met up in Philly while she was visiting them. And I remember 2 years ago, her telling me, I really feel strongly that these age groups, since we got rid of Beehive, My Maid, and Laurel, there's been like a sense of identity lost. And she's like, I'm trying to get these names approved. And so I'm like, people have no idea how much time went into that.
Oh my gosh.
And so I feel like that alone for me, I was like, if you knew that this sweet woman 2 years ago told me that she was working on this. And also I keep thinking, I'm like, what would it have been like when they announced My Maid, Laurel, and Beehive if social media had existed, you know?
Yes. Well, I think
names.
If it was like, you know, if it was something with Relief Society, like we're changing the name of the Relief Society to like the Dragon Slayers or something. Like if it was something for my peers, I would feel more empowered to complain. But because it's for teenage girls who just need constant affirmation and encouragement, like I just feel like it's not in my lane to complain about it. Even if I didn't like it, but I do like it, I'm not telling people not to complain. So I put out this song and I'm so grateful that people liked it.
Yeah.
And so many people were commenting, I hated the names and now I like them. And like that was like most of what people said was I hated them, but now I like them. And I'm like so grateful to be a spoonful of sugar for people. But also I had some people comment, well, you adequately chastised me, or like, well, I feel like I've been like slapped in the face.
You're like, that was like the goal.
No, you can complain. Like everyone should complain if they want to complain. I'm pro agency. I'm pro you do your thing. But I'm also grateful. Like, I think sometimes people just do what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
And if everyone's like, these names are dumb, then most people are just going to like agree with it because they don't want to be the one person to disagree.
Right.
But I'm okay being the one person to disagree.
Yeah. And I think that's why I say the thing about like, if we had social media when those older names were announced, because I feel like because of the echo chamber of social media, it creates this, you know, you may have felt good about the names initially, but then you get on social media and everybody's dogging on them and you're like, was I silly to think that? So
was I silly? Totally. Well, any youth that I've talked to, and I've asked quite a few, I'm like, do you like them? And they're like, yes, or they're neutral or whatever. Or some of them say no, but usually they say no because they have like a mom that hates them or an older sister that hates them.
And I saw some posts too where people were like, our daughters are looking at us for our reaction.
Totally.
So I think that was awesome. And I want to highlight something that you said in your caption. You talked about the Young Women's Program and what it had meant to you. You mentioned that it was the reason that you had learned to play music, but then you said it helped me see that I could bear my testimony in another way besides getting in front of a scary microphone. I was also surprised that my church leaders were so encouraging of my music, of my thoughts and big questions, and even of my doubts. My leaders have seen me go through some dark years as an adult, and they've loved me every step of the way. I had young women's leaders when I was young that I honestly, growing up in North Carolina, I was like, these women are like my best friends. And so that idea of like your leaders being your friends and seeing you through hard things really resonated with me. But I wanted to ask you in relation to that, you talk about doubts and how your young women's leaders loved you through any doubts that you had. Can you talk to me a little bit, Emily, about your faith journey and how those young women leaders' love mattered long after you were no longer in Young Women?
But yeah, my young women's leaders were so strong and encouraging and just like classy ladies that really taught us how to be really independent and let us plan our own activities and let us have a voice and taught us like how to be good listeners and how to be good leaders. A lot of like classes on leadership and a lot of cool activities. Like if the boys were hiking Havasupai, we were hiking Havasupai, and we were getting just really, really encouraged. And I'm very privileged to have had such a good experience in Young Women's. But I would go, and I was kind of like an emo-y goth kid and didn't really have any friends in Young Women's besides the leaders. I had a few friends, but all of us kind of felt like outcasts, you know. And the Young Women's leaders were always just so encouraging, and they were never like, you can't wear your goth makeup to mutual. They were always just like, come as you are. And they really just laid that foundation of you're always welcome here. And I remember even talking to one of my young women's leaders about, you know, a date I went on with a boy who was an LDS, and she didn't like lecture me in that moment. She was just like, is he nice? You know, also when I was in high school, I was like going to my friends' churches. So I was like going to the Catholic church. I was going to like the Protestant church, and I was going to like the mega church down the street. I was like looking at all these other churches. My young women's leaders were just like, cool, for mutual, we're going to have an activity where you just tell us about these other churches. Like they were so encouraging about these little phases I was having as a teenager. So when it got to being an adult, and I was also going through some stuff with my mental health and like going through some trauma and deconstructing my religion and then reconstructing my testimony kind of thing, they just wanted to hear about it. And I knew I could talk to them about that. And I knew that they would be encouraging and they wouldn't lecture me, and they would just like be there. I took a little time away from the church, and I remember I would still go to church sometimes, but just like to be a sour grape, just like sit in the back row and just hate it, you know? But I always loved seeing these women who are now like my peers in Relief Society, but my former young women's leaders. And they were always just like still so encouraging. And anytime I like would bring up something that was bothering me, they would usually just be like, you'll figure it out, or tell me more about that. Just like curious. These women are just amazing. They're so strong and they're so cool. And I think they've just always been my heroes from a young age. I really didn't I'm just one of those people that always kind of struggles feeling like I belong. But my young women's leaders always just help me feel like I belong. And also being a beehive, being a Mia Maid, being a Laurel, like you're hereby called to be the secretary of the Laurel class was like, oh my God.
What an honor.
I belong. Like I'm going to stand and people are going to raise their hand and like sustain me. Holy cow. Like, or like playing hymns was like such a way I just felt like I belonged. Every Sunday, we're going to need you to play a song and we're all going to sing. I was like, oh my gosh, I belong. Like just these waves of you belong. Girls camp was like such formative, such spiritual experiences for me to go to camp, like to get away from high school friends and just like go up in the woods without a phone.
With no one talking or worried about what boy was looking at them, and no makeup.
Totally. Oh my gosh, no makeup, no boy. Like, and I didn't really think that stuff mattered to me that much until I was away from it, and I was like, oh, what a relief. Like, oh, now I remember how it is to be just a human.
Yeah.
And yeah, so great. And those were so formative for me. So when I had my mental health kind of percolate and things get darker, things get weirder, then I literally would like call back on memories from Young Women's. Like I would call back on memories from girls camp, and I felt like I could reach out to some of my Young Women's leaders. I did. I like texted them a few times, like, hey, just wanted to say thank you for being so nice. And fully at the time, not going to church and like even kind of borderline, I hate to say it, but like hating the church a little bit at the time, but still just really loving my Young Women's leaders. My brother has like long left the church, but he loves his Young Men's leaders so much. He's just like so happy to see him, and he beams. Like he called me the other day. He's like, guess who I just saw in the grocery store? I saw Brother Tate. Oh my gosh, I love that guy so much. Or like he got sick. He was in the hospital last year. He had a brain tumor, which is crazy. That was so scary. Guess who came to his hospital room? His old Young Men's leaders. Like, it's just, we just love, we're just like, I think because me and my siblings were all so weird, we don't have a lot of friends our age, but we really loved our leaders.
Well, but I actually think the interesting thing about that is I think a lot of teenagers feel all the same feelings that you just said. And it may seem like they don't, like there may be the popular kids, but I think a lot of people feel like they got their sense of belonging from the things you've described.
They're supportive adults. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know. And like, it makes me just so sad because I know that some people have had the most rotten experiences in Young Women's.
Right.
And I know that, and I've seen it. When I first started coming back to church, I got called into Young Women's, and oh man, there is a different ward, but there was a Young Women's leader, and she was telling this girl, I like heard this like kind of a verbal go back and forth thing at the end of the hall. And she was like, well, you have to go home. And this girl's like, I'm not going to go home and come back. She's like, you can't wear leggings in the Lord's church. And I was like, what? She's being sent home for wearing leggings? Like, oh my gosh, like how lucky are we that she showed up? Like, right. But I was like, I like just started coming back to church, and it was like not my ward. I didn't know her. So I like turned to the lady in my ward. I'm like, do you see what's going on? And she was like, it's so sad. And she's like, I think it's, I don't know. And I was like, should we go say something? She's like, and like that like haunts me so much because I know how beautiful the Young Women's program is. I know how beautiful these years are. Just magical feelings of belonging that we can have in Young Women's. Like the women, you and me, we cannot get in the way of that. Like that is so sacred. I think a little piece of me feels that way with women complaining about the names. I'm a girl's girl. I think women should just feel however they feel. But I do think like, hey, women, let's make sure we don't interrupt something beautiful that might be happening for these girls. And those weren't the names that we needed, but these are the names they need. Like this is the name for their time.
Right.
And the girls that I've talked to really like those names. And the girls also that I talk to think the word Laurel is weird.
Right. I think that is so well said. I want to shift to a younger age group, probably. So I just got put in primary, and it's like very top of mind. Yeah. But are you the primary pianist?
Yes, it's the best. It's me and my nerds clusters on the piano, and that's it.
That's amazing. Well, I listened to another podcast that you were on, General Conference Applied, and you were talking about Sister Tracy Browning's talk from the October 2025 General Conference. And I loved what you said so much. I actually used it in a Relief Society lesson. But in that clip, you talk about how primary songs literally saved your life. And I love this phrase. You refer to primary songs as spiritual food storage. Can you tell me a little bit about kind of how primary songs you feel like saved your life and were that food storage that you needed?
Totally. How good was that talk by Sister Browning?
It was so good.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. I'm sad that she's released. I love her so much, but I'm sure We'll see lots more of her. Yeah, that talk was amazing. And I mean, yeah, I went to church my whole life, and I love the primary songs, and music has just kind of had this way of sticking to my ribs. And things just kind of stay with me. And I had some mental health and I was just kind of plummeting. I had some just like anxiety and depression kind of creeping up. And then we're involved in this violent traumatic event, which really shook us up and especially shook me up. And I couldn't quite make sense of it. And my testimony was already kind of floundering. And then after that event, it just was kind of like a wrecking ball to anything left I had. And I had PTSD, and so nothing felt safe. No one felt safe. And I was pushing everybody away. I was pushing my friends away. I was pushing my family away. And then I was pushing like the last little bits of church away, right? And I was trying to push Heavenly Father away, which he's a little hard to push away, turns out. But I like stopped praying because I felt like if I wasn't going to church, or I wasn't doing everything I should, or if I was having doubts that my prayers wouldn't work, or that I shouldn't be praying, like I'd be wasting Heavenly Father's time, or I wouldn't have like earned a right to pray, or just kind of like weird, not true feelings I had. But I was talking with this like Catholic priest who came my way, and I was basically asking him, like, when do I get to the point that I can pray again? And he was like, right now, just pray. And so I felt like I should be praying. And I felt like I wanted to pray, and like I had this green light. I guess it's okay to pray. Like, I guess this is fine. And that sounds so silly to say now, but like when you're going through it, when you're mentally sick, those things that sound so silly to say now, like those really make sense when you're not doing well. So I really wanted to start praying, but I didn't really know how, but I did know the primary songs. And so I would just sing the primary songs. And those were my first little steps towards getting myself out of the gutter. My first ways to start inviting the Spirit back into my life, and to start remembering who I am, and start remembering like that it's worth being here, that I can take up some space on earth and I won't be, ruining anybody's life by being here, kind of thing. Just such a daily bread, just little bits every day. And would just sing the primary songs, and those would kind of remind me who I am and remind me why I'm here. Music is really like, I think I'm basically socially awkward. And I think I don't feel permission to enter social spaces unless music is kind of a way that opens the door for me to like be in primary and have a good time, because I don't know who you guys are, and I don't know what the scriptures are talking about sometimes, but I know the words to this song. So that's how music helped me belong when I was a kid. And then we go to Young Women's, and you guys are hanging out with these other people at school, and I know you guys are a little bit cooler than I am, but I can play the piano, and that kind of like, now I feel like I belong, because now we're singing Sisters in Zion together, and now we're at girls camp singing these songs together, and now I feel like I belong. And then in church too, it's so hard to wrap my head around the atonement, this incomprehensible love from our Savior, but I do know the words to "There's a green hill far away," and I can just grasp in a slight way. And so music is always just this kind of a jumping on point for me. And I know other people feel that way that I feel. People kind of need permission. People need a jumping on point. People need like a springboard. People need a green flag. People need a helping hand. And I think that's what music has been for me through my life. And so I'm really grateful that I've been able to help be a green flag, or a springboard, or an open door, or a helping hand to bring people to either to love church again, or to remember their experiences they had in church, even though they don't attend anymore, but like to still think back to times in the cultural hall weddings, and think back on them fondly without feeling like they have to have that conflict in their life. And then I'm grateful to have created a little jumping on point for people to reconsider these young women's names and consider the possibility of loving them.
I think I speak for a lot of people, Emily, when I say that I think you mentioned like that you might be able to take up space. And I don't follow very many people on Instagram. I find the things that you post to be very worth my time. And so I think that you definitely deserve space. And I think a lot of us are grateful for that space that you take up in our social media feed.
Oh, thanks so much.
I wanted to ask you because on some of these other podcasts that you were on, I thought you had some really valuable thoughts about this. And you talked on one of them, you specifically said, there was a time when I wouldn't say that I was all in. And that's like a big part of this podcast is, I think, well, when we started it, it was like, well, we don't want to have like this self-righteous name that makes it seem like everybody has all in or all out. And so that's how we came up with the last question. What does it mean to you? Because it was like, well, that could mean a lot of different things to different people. But I thought that you had some really great thoughts about kind of if you don't feel all in right now. And so I wondered what would be your message to others that maybe don't feel like they're all in right now for whatever reason. And then maybe what would be your message to people that love and care about someone who may be struggling with or not interested in faith and they hope that person will come back.
I mentioned like talking to this Catholic priest before, and I was actually talking to him in a mental hospital in a behavioral health unit, and like really just kind of topsy-turvy mentally, and things didn't quite make sense. But when I asked him, like, when can I start praying again without it being a problem? I think I was basically asking, like, how can I prove to God that I'm all in again? Because I felt all in, like I felt this like hunger in my soul. I really want this happiness that I used to have. And I'm 90% sure it's in the gospel. I'm like 99% sure. There's so many hurdles in my life I kind of have to get past. And what is the penance I need to pay kind of thing. And one other thing this Catholic priest said was, he said, there's no scoreboard. Your heart is your heart. And so I think if you ask the question, how will I know if I'm all in? It's just, well, do you want to be all in? Then you're all in. You are all in because you're here on earth and you're created in God's image and he loves you. And so you're all in. There's no country club. There's no belonging. There's no, I don't know. But like feeling all in is more about it's just about you and Heavenly Father.
I completely agree with that. And the thing about the Catholic priest saying like there's no scoreboard reminds me, I have a friend who always says in reference to like anyone's faith journey that there's nothing so irrelevant as the score at halftime. And I think that so often we get caught up in like, where are we right now? And where is somebody else right now? And it's like another friend of mine always says life is long. And I just think we worry about ourselves and try to be patient with ourselves and with other people. And we'll be amazed by how everything works itself out. Emily, I feel like you've already answered this question, but do you have any other thoughts on what it means to you to be all in the gospel of Jesus Christ?
There's one of the new hymns that was added, and I love all the new hymns, and I love this song. And it goes, how many drops of blood were spilt for me? This is the Christ.
Yep.
I love that song. But that's my one line that I'm like, oh, I really wish I could write in the footnotes of this hymn, how many drops of blood were spilt for me. I want to just say, all of them were spilt for you. Like 100% of the atonement, every single bit of it was for you. that's what I feel like it is to be all in on the gospel, is just really this surrender of knowing how loved we are by our Creator. It's hard to comprehend such a huge, powerful, vast thing. But when we realize that comprehending it just means that we love our neighbor, and comprehending it just means that we will stay on this earth one more day and try our best, then it seems a little more comprehensible.
Emily, thank you so much. You have shared so many great thoughts, and I appreciate your time and your talent so much.
Oh, thank you, Morgan. I'm so happy to hang out with you.
We are so grateful to Emily Susan Pack for joining us on this week's episode. We are also grateful to Derek Campbell of Mix It 6 Studios for his help with this episode, and we're grateful to you for listening. We'll look forward to being with you again next week.